Well, this is kind of what we have going on here for today. Some rainy day projects. So we are about 10 days in with the vac truck here. And if you recall in that video that we did on this vac truck, these stock door stop straps broke first day we had it. My wife ended up sewing them. She sewed, this is the original strap here, and they sent us some new straps. These straps are a lot thicker. So what Jacob's doing is he has the new strap in there. There's 3 sets, is there 3 or is there 4 sets of holes? Yeah, there's 3 sets of holes. And the new straps are a little shorter than the original strap. So he actually has these doubled up, and we could kind of show you what he's got going on here. So if you look, here is the original strap on the outside, and then here is the new one. So with having 2 straps on there, it's almost like a double wrapper, right?
Yeah.
If one breaks, hopefully the other one holds the load.
Yeah.
So, we're just going around this unit here, getting filter numbers written down. There is a couple of barcodes on here that you can grab all them numbers from. And we're going to get that in the computer, so when we go to do the first service on this, the guys will be able to look up on the computer and look to see what filters it takes. So that's what we're working on with this thing. So we're going to run in next door here. We've got some warranty work to do on the Western Star. We'll get into that in a minute here. We'll show you exactly what it's doing. But what we have is a PTO on the transmission that doesn't like to slide into gear. It was a little sticky off the start when we first initially started using it. And then of course the other day here, it decided that it did not want to work at all. So we'll get into that in a minute here. I've got to actually order some filters for this vac truck so that we're sure to have them before I forget to do that. So we'll join back up with you in a hot minute here. Well, we are now ready to work on this Western Star. If you recall, quite a while ago, back in like maybe March I think it was, we ended up putting a wet line kit on this. That consisted of putting a PTO on the transmission to drive a hydraulic pump that goes back to this valve body to supply hydraulic oil and flow to different trailers. We had this PTO on the C5 at one time. It wore out the female part of the pump it wore out the female part of the PTO that drives the hydraulic pump. There's a 7/8 13 spline shaft that's on the pump that goes inside the receiver shaft on the PTO. We wore the splines off, had it rebuilt. I don't know if those clutches are shot or if we just have an air supply problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bypass the air switch that's on the truck. This is basically the same style PTO engagement switch that is in the console on the truck. So we'll show you what this does. Oh, I don't know if I've got enough air pressure here, so we might be delayed for a minute. Yeah, we're gonna have to let the air pressure build up, and I'll join back up with you in a brief moment here. All right, we are all aired up. Here is our PTO switch right here. We're gonna go ahead and engage that. Light indicator's on. However, when we go to power one of the hydraulic functions, you can hear it grinding. So that's revved up. You kind of heard it jump in. It's not going in gear. It's just not grabbing. So we don't know what we have. We don't know if we don't have enough air pressure. Maybe the switch is bad. Maybe it's too weak. We'll try another switch. If that, well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try this other switch. And we're also, if this doesn't engage, we're gonna hook up straight shop air to it as well to see if maybe we just need to run a larger airline. 1/4 inch airline should be sufficient enough. So let's go ahead and roll in underneath this unit here. We'll put you guys on the pallet jack. I could stick you guys right to that and you guys can see what's going on. Wheel you guys over here like this. It's raining again. Now we can stick you guys right there. I don't know how much you're gonna see. We'll kind of explain it as we go. Alright, so we have our air hose hooked up to the PTO. We've got our switch in the engagement mode. The light is on. So we'll go ahead and start this up. Alright, so regular 1/4 inch air hose off the switch doesn't work. That should be full on. Just for the hell of it, we will unhook that and try it direct without going through the switch. However, I don't think I want to screw around with trying to put a larger air hose on there to just mask the problem, because it will return to us at a later date here. So, all right, now we have shop air hooked direct. Still going through the 1/4-inch hose. However, it is just bypassing the switch. She's grinding. Okay. Now we go to the next step. Next step is we need to drain the oil out of the transmission. Get that dumped into a clean pail. Pull the hydraulic pump off of the PTO, and then pull the PTO off of the transmission. So we'll go ahead and get that done. I've got another PTO, a rebuilt one, that we're gonna go ahead and throw on there. And in the meantime, we'll have to see what we can do to get this other one fixed, whether I choose to throw it out or get the clutch pack in it fixed. So we'll join up with you in a little while here once we get things pulled off or ready to pull off of the transmission. Alright, I don't know how much you guys can see underneath here, but we've got the oil drained out of the transmission. There's a support bracket that we had bolted to the back of the transmission, and it just held this pump up. I don't know where that went. It is right here. So that held this pump up. We've got a ground strap up to that. So now we can go ahead and lift this pump off of the PTO, because we've got those bolts out of it. We'll just slide this guy out of the way. Now what we have to do is we have to very carefully take these bolts out of the PTO that hold it onto the transmission here. So this is an 8-bolt PTO. We got 8 bolts that hold it in. They're just 7/16 bolts. There's another spot on these transmissions that you can put an additional PTO. That's just a 6-bolt mount, and that is right up here on this right hand side. We always go off of the bottom on these Eaton Fuller transmissions. The automatic transmissions on the Freightliners, we go off of the top, and they also have a side option, which is usually on the left side, and they are a 10-bolt PTO, slightly different configuration, but almost the same concept. Usually what we do is we remove the shift cover, and that allows us to be able to drain the rest of the oil out of the transmission. So this guy's going to have a fair amount of oil in the PTO, and we're going to get a little dirty. What have I got? 2 removed. Not the 3rd one. Let's swing around this way. Alright, so we'll just get a few more bolts out here. I don't know how much you guys can see. I need to go out and around and get underneath here the other way, I believe. glasses back on. I got a lot of crap falling on me. There's that bracket there. We got 4 bolts out. Which we're just going to cut these wires. Cut this on, and then we'll cut this. Pull that wire out. That is just for the switch to let the indicator light know that we're on. So let's go ahead and take loose this other bolt. What do we got left here? Got one there.
What do you want me to work on now?
Got them chains Earled. He's Earling them now. Oh. Spreader's all greased.
He greased that one the other day, 2 days or 3 days ago. That one's fine. Greased the big one.
Alright. The frac tank need anything?
No, that's pretty solid.
Might as well grease that then, and we'll see what goes here. Okay, so there's 6 cap screws, 2 studs on this PTO. 7/16 horse thread holes in the transmission. Now we have to have 2 different size wrenches here to get these nuts off of there and bolt out. I've got a stud in the front or in the back and another stud swung in the front. Just enough room. Sneak that guy out. Shove that over there. Now we got to break open this. Oh. No, I got cap screws there. For some reason I thought I had bolts there. Okay, 7 bolts, 7 fasteners taken loose and removed. Swing around this way. How? Now this is the fun part. This is where we leak our oil. Now, maybe. Alright, what's going on? We'll make sure we got them all taken loose. With any bit of a lock. This is just stuck to the transmission. And we can just get this cap screw out. Put that over there. I might need a hammer. She's stuck on there. And there we go. That didn't work too bad. Hardly any. Usually I get quite soaked here, but that's not the case this time. Alright, so I got a gasket that I'm peeling off. We're going to go ahead and replace that with a new one. We got that off in there. Now we'll go ahead and drag the pump out. So, alright, we'll drag this guy out, clean this up, and we'll throw new gaskets up. Alright, we've got this PTO out. This is this bolts up to the bottom of the transmission. This is actually rear. We're at the rear here. And then this gear here is spun continuously with the transmission, unless you push the clutch in, and of course that'll stop moving. Now you go ahead and you engage it with air, and what there is a shift collar facing us, and it is going to move backwards, and it is going to engage those bottom gears together. It's going to engage the shaft that's going to run the pump. It's going to make that one be live with the one that's turning on the transmission. So if you go ahead and shift that, Jay, now it has everything locked together. The top gear is going to drive the bottom gear, and that gear is going to allow the shaft to be powered on the pump. However, the bench test, or the floor test if you will, it's showing that everything is working. However, go ahead and turn that off. However, the drive gear, which is the one facing J, that one has some teeth rounded off on it. And I'm assuming that the teeth are rounded off even worse on the gear that collects them two together. And I think with the amount of pressure that the pump asks for, I think it is causing that collar to move back a little bit, and then it starts grinding it. So we're gonna go ahead and put this rebuilt PTO on there that I had sitting upstairs. This one is a little different. It's got an actual shift fork down in there, and it kind of does the same thing. This gear here is driven off of the transmission gear. There's a fork setting down in, way down in down there. Air pressure pushes this guy over. That's going to push that over, and it's going to cause this gear to be driven by this gear here. So let's go ahead and get that guy installed, and we'll dissect that one there once we get this one in there. So we'll put a couple of shims. We need to gap this accordingly. We've got 2 thick shims and 1 thin one, and then we'll reach in there and we'll make sure that our gear mesh is not causing them gears to, what you don't want the gears to do is to be running high like this, and they're not running enough, and therefore if you run too much of a gasket in there, the teeth are going to be raking each other. But you also don't want the PTO to fit so tight that the gears are bottoming out on themselves. And then as that gets warm, them gears are gonna expand a little bit, and you don't want them running so damn hard that it puts too much strain on the bearings in that PTO. So let's go ahead and get this installed, and we'll show you what things look like once it's all installed. And then we'll dissect that old PTO to see what exactly happened. It's just an assumption at this point, but we don't exactly know until we get it all kind of tore apart here. So yeah. Well, we've got our PTO all switched out. We'll go ahead and crawl underneath here. We'll kind of show you what things look like. Now this PTO was a little shorter in length than the other one, so we had to redo our pump support bracket, and that is right on the back side of the transmission here. We splashed up some black spray paint on it, and you can kind of see that we've got everything all mounted back up. So we'll go ahead and jump up in the cab now. We'll show you that it works the way it's supposed to. Let's jump up in here quickly. So we have our PTO switch over on the console here. Light indicator. And then of course we're building pressure on the hydraulic valves there. Turn the PTO off, light goes out. Alright, we got something going on with and PTO's back in gear, pumps back on, bang bang. Alright, so that should do it for this job. We're gonna go over and take a peek at this PTO. We've got it on the bench. We're gonna go ahead and take it apart and take a peek at it. And I'm assuming that the shift collar is in worse shape than the actual driven gear. So we'll go ahead and pop this guy apart. I know you guys can't see all that much down in there, but we've probably lost 20% of the teeth on the gear. And then of course they're all angled this way, so if the shift collar is angled the same way, it's going to be very easy for that to just slip past itself. So let's go ahead and pull this guy apart. Okay, we had a little bit of a delay here. We actually had some issues that I didn't film. That light flickered a little bit, the indicator light flickered a little bit when we were showing you guys how that worked. So I ended up changing out the actual switch, which this is the switch here. And the cream colored ones, they turn the light on when the shift fork comes over and it hits against it. The other style, I think it's brown or black, they turn the light on when they open the circuit. So what we have here is an actual shift. Here's a shift cylinder here, and the switch goes in there, and then what it does is when air is applied to this shift cylinder, it pushes this fork over, and then it pushes this fork up against the switch itself. It pushes over like that, and then that closes the circuit, turns the light on. And I can't tell, this one doesn't have a lot of spring force to it. So I had to replace that. And then there was an air leak on the Western Star that we just got done fixing as well. I don't know what I did with my fitting, but it was a 5/8, it was a T, 5/8 in, 5/8 out, and then a 1/4 inch branch off of, 1/4 inch line that branched off of it. So we're going to go ahead and take this guy apart because I am curious to know what the shift collar looks like on the inside of the pump. I don't have to take this end off. I have to take this end here off. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this guy apart. This thing. Okay, so at this point I do not know how important it is to have this thing clocked. So we just put a little line in there, if it does need to be clocked, we know that it needs to go back a certain way. So I don't know if I could just pop that guy off or not. Sounds like it's coming loose. I do have some more fasteners in there. I need to get a little chisel, is what I need. I do have another set of bolts that I might have to take out. That did pull it apart a little bit. I might have to take these other bolts out. I didn't think I had to. There we go there. Guess we don't know at this point. What that looks like yet. So we need to get this other end apart, I guess, because I can't see enough in there to know what I'm actually looking at. Well, we've got the top set of gears removed. Now we're going to get the bottom set of gears out. There's a snap ring right here that we have to take loose. Once we take this loose, we should be able to start to pull stuff off of this shaft here. I might have to get a bearing puller on this bearing. I don't know if I shouldn't hit on this that much. Everything's got to kind of go that way. So I think it goes that way. But we'll go ahead and get that snap ring taken loose, and then we can continue to disassemble the housing on this PTO here. Well, we have this guy completely disassembled. Now this has got a spring-loaded mechanism inside this clutch here. And just as I suspected what was happening to it was actually going on with it. So this is the collar that would be activated to move to join up the two parts of the PTO. So you've got this gear inside here that is running on this shaft right here. Actually, I got to put that on going the other way. This shaft runs the hydraulic pump. So this shaft would be in the bottom. The hydraulic pump would be bolted to, what end are we bolted to? This end right here. Had to look at that for a second. So this is going to be in here like that. Right? Yeah. So that shaft runs across the bottom, and then the top, the transmission's just running that all the time. When you engage that, it's got part of this one gear is spinning with the top gear, and what it does is it brings this gear over into, it has this one in there, it's hooked to that shaft, and then it brings it into this gear here that is being driven the whole time from these top gears. So this gear, what do we got? Which one? This one's running against the transmission. This one's running against this gear here, something like that. Maybe it's turned the other way. I can't remember. But at any rate, this is running out here idle. And when the air shifts it in, it pushes this guy over, and it's going to actually shift in like that. I can't push it on there. I've got a zip tie on that washer there. So being that these teeth are raked off and these teeth are raked off, there wasn't enough of the teeth coming together, and the force of the hydraulic pump, or the torque from the hydraulic pump, or the torque that the hydraulic pump was asking for, put too much torque on this, and it would cause it to just jump back. We were showing that we were engaged because the shift fork went past, or the shift mechanism of the PTO went over into the position that it was supposed to go into. However, the mesh up of these gears wasn't good enough to keep them married to each other in order to allow them to, actually I should just cut this zip tie. Let me cut this zip tie and we'll show you what this would look like all together here. There's a bearing and a couple of washers. I think these washers are the same size, but at any rate, it puts this guy over in here like this. That gear's down in there like that. That's running the shaft, and then of course it pushes this together, something like this. And it would get it to a point where it would cause it to torque too hard and knock itself out of whack. So we're going to have this guy rebuilt. These PTOs are rather expensive, and instead of just throwing this guy out, we'll get it rebuilt. Now, we had it rebuilt a while ago before we installed it back into the truck, and what had happened to it was the splines inside here where the pump go onto, they were all spun off, and then they just didn't take this apart far enough to figure out that these were spun off as well. So we're going to go ahead and get this put into a 5-gallon pail, all of our parts, so we don't lose nothing, and then we'll send it to one of the axle places here and have them rebuild it, because I don't know what model PTO this is, and rather than ordering a bunch of the wrong parts, I might as well just have them rebuild it. They know what they're looking at, and they'll be able to source the parts that way.